Welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast that's all about real conversations for real transformation. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, professional speaker, MC, and best-selling international author. Here, we tackle the tough stuff, the mud that we all have found ourselves in. We talk about the pivots, the challenges, and the victories that shape our lives and our businesses. From overcoming trauma and finding your voice to navigating life's unexpected twists, we get raw, honest, and open. You'll hear from inspiring guests who share their stories of resilience, healing, and growth. Whether it's breaking through emotional abuse, embracing self-worth, or thriving in entrepreneurship, you'll find connection, empowerment, and the tools to keep you moving forward. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for stories that hit home and conversations that make a difference. Let's get real together. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. So excited to have you guys here with us today. Oh my gosh, we're now in the Chinese New Year of the fire horse. I don't know about you guys, but I've totally gone down the rabbit hole of learning all the things, and it's been so interesting to see all the things that have been lining up. So anyway, I just think it's really cool. So I'm super excited for this conversation because I have a feeling it's going to be super aligned with where a lot of people are right now. So Camille, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast, and I guess also being back from the beginning of the podcast too.
Yeah, thanks for having me and back. Thanks for having me back.
It was 2 years ago. You were one of my newer ones, in the beginning, I feel.
In the beginning? Yeah, I'm making my rounds again.
I love it though. And we had such a wonderful conversation. So for anybody that's listening, if you want to go back, I think it was 2 years ago that I had Camille on. She was very gracious as I was still figuring out myself on the podcast. And I know we had a wonderful conversation at that point in time and talking about your soul-led business and things like that. So I'm super excited to dive in today and reintroduce you to the audience and for the new people as well. So Camille, why don't you do us a favor then and tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. I'm Camille Miller, and I am a midlife business strategist, and I'm an intuitive. I'm a life amplifier, but mostly I help people dovetail who they are with what they do in life. So I'm usually working with people that have done the corporate thing or have been in a very structured position and said, this does not make my heart sing. I want to do something, or I'm meant for bigger things in this world. And they may or may not know what that is, or they may have an inkling. Usually I'm the one they contact to be that thought partner or what's next. And I help them design that business. In some cases, give them all the business skills, kind of depends where they come from, because a lot of people have talent in so many areas, but they really don't know how to run a business. And being an entrepreneur is very different than working for someone.
Absolutely.
So that's a big part of my personal work. And I am also the founder of the Soul, SOUL Professional Movement, which is an international business incubator for impact-driven humans that just want to rise together and acknowledge each other and have a community and network. So we're in about 32 countries right now. Probably a little bit bigger. Yeah, probably a little bit bigger than the conversation 2 years ago.
That's so awesome. I love to see the growth.
School. Yeah. Now we have a business school and a lot of things around
awesome.
The movement. Yeah. Just the goal is to help other people get their gifts to the world, because I do believe that there's this big paradigm shift happening. Of course, the year of the fire horse, we'll talk probably more about that. But I think it's been happening since 2012. Right?
Ooh,
where people
okay.
are just like, I know there's more. I know there's more. Right. And now we're starting to see people really lean into, what feels right and in alignment for them. Like, this is really what I want to do with my life. It makes me feel good about myself. I get to help others. Most are not working for big corporations anymore, and they're kind of blurring the borders too, right? I believe that in the future, will be more contractors than we will anything else. And
Mm.
we'll be moving through those borders pretty easily. I know it doesn't look like it now, but things have to crash and burn before we can rise.
Absolutely. I actually really agree with this because I think about how many people that I've talked to just over the last like year and how many people, especially since 2020, like really kind of saw this
Yep.
shift with people. So I think it's interesting that you said 2012, right? That you started kind of noticing, which obviously
Yes,
you've been in the arena a lot longer than I have too. So I'm going to go with your knowledge. But I think that it's really interesting how many people I do feel like they've done the things, been here, I tried this, now I really want to do something that I feel led to be a part of. And you're not the first
yeah,
person to say, that they think that we are going to be in a space where it's going to be more contract versus
yeah.
just corporations. And to be completely honest, I I'm totally for that, right? We
Me
noticed that
too.
even when COVID shut everything down and everybody went remote, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, production and all the things are going to decline," and instead it actually increased.
Increased. Hmm.
Right? Because people felt like they had a little bit more flexibility or they were able to do the things they needed to do. Like there was this interesting space, which I think is, why so many companies decided to stay remote. There are some that obviously went full scale back in. And I understand that not everybody can be remote as well, right? Depending on the industry.
Yeah.
But I did find that really interesting that we saw this increase in production when you let people stay at home because I get it, right? The first thing I think is like, oh, the distractions and the kids and the laundry and but you really, I mean, if you create a space, I feel like you really can feel like you can get things done, but also not feel like you're being interrupted or what happens at every office, and it's always happened at ours, that person that stops by to talk for 20 minutes and then you're behind on everything for the rest of the
Yeah.
day.
But we weren't meant, just as humans, we weren't meant to work from 9 to 5. Those are not really our most productive hours. And I think from working from home, like I have mornings, my good routine is like I get up in the quiet, right? At like 6:30 or so. I'm writing, I'm answering emails, I'm doing some things, and then I take a break and I go to the gym, right? And I get
Oh.
all the tension out, and then I come back and I'll work more and later because it's just how my brain works, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
way more productive in a lot less hours. And I think that's what happened when we left the company. We're probably just working and being productive and not talking, not at the meetings, not doing all the things that you probably don't need to do, but you're
Mm-hmm.
also doing it. So let me get this done so I can get to my kid's baseball game, right? Or I do have to get the laundry, or the kids have to get from school. So when you have that type of structure, I think it's easier to focus. Women do it all
Yeah,
the time, but I think, right, we wear multi hats and we can do things like that. But it just became more normal, right? And you didn't have to have the commute. I'm from New Jersey and our commutes are ridiculous. Like to commute one
oh.
way an hour or two every day
Mm-hmm.
is kind of normal,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're going to New York City. And you got all of those hours back, right? So your life
Oh,
felt
true.
more fulfilling. Maybe you went to the gym or worked out or saw your kids or cooked more or whatever it was, your cup was full or more full than it had been. So when they
Mm,
called everyone back, they're like, I'm not doing that again. Like you felt your nervous system not be regulated again,
yeah,
right? So you got to a place that you were in coherence, and then they're going to take it back from you. So I think what's also happening is we want to feel good. We want to, love what we're doing and have passion around it and be able
absolutely.
to have a life outside of work and paying the bills, right? And when I grew up and went to school, it was a very hustle culture, right? It was very ego driven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that is leaving. And now, with the lunar eclipse and everything that's happening in this new year, the rise of feminine energy is absolutely happening. We see it everywhere, right? And that's what's crashing and burning all the structure, everything that we've built. But I think it's going to be these more soul-led businesses that are going to be part of our future because it's going to be a part of every single human.
Yeah.
right? It's going to be part of our communities. Now, I do think community is changing, and we have yet to see what that looks like. But I feel like there's an itch right now where people want to be in person again, but they also don't want to leave their
Oh.
house.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So it's kind
Yeah.
of, and I am totally that person. I want to be social. I want to leave my house. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, my couch is kind of nice. Like, right. And it's doing the other things, but I feel that there is this socialness and this pull a little bit away from social media. And I
Hmm.
think AI has made it so noisy that everyone's just using it and posting and using it and posting. And
Yeah.
it's too noisy and people are starting to get away from it.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to see a big change in community and how we communicate with each other, but I don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. I never really, I guess, thought about that, but I do feel like we kind of got in this cycle of being so consumed by all the
Hmm.
things. And I was just on a call with an amazing group of women the other day, and that was one of the things that
Hmm.
one of the ladies brought up was something she was doing different in 2026. And it was, I am done believing that I have to be on social media all the time, that
Yeah,
I consistently have to be here in order to run a business. And we see so many people that are not on social media and they run a business, right? And they do very well for themselves, especially if they're community based, if they're community led, if they're surrounding themselves with those people. And I have found it really interesting because I feel like for a while, like it was just shoved down everybody's throats
yeah,
about social media. But I'm the same way, like I wasn't a huge fan getting into it to begin with, but I also knew that it was going to make my message reach further, which was great. And I find myself like making sure that I have time where I'm not on it and I'm not
yeah,
looking at it and I'm not just doom scrolling, because it becomes so consuming.
yeah,
And then we get so caught up in everybody else's stuff that it's like by the time you get done, which I mean, your brain can't even intake all the information that you're scrolling through to begin with. You get off and you're like overwhelmed and you're like, I'm discombobulated. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I forgot, and it's almost like trying to start all over in that
agreed.
moment for whatever you had planned.
Yep, agreed. And the funny thing is, I built my business without social media. So when I think about it, everyone was on it. I was never on it. And I was like, I built an entire community and business without social media. And now I feel very compelled to be on it all the time. Right. And I was like, why? That makes no sense. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to question, are my people actually on it? Am I actually converting? I don't think I'm actually converting from it. Maybe
Interesting.
they find my community, right? But it's kind of interesting. But I do think a number of us are stepping away. Like I used to do a lot of TikTok. Now I'm still addicted to TikTok. But I used to actually post and make videos and do it all the time for years. And then when they had the big like, is it going down? Is it not going? I was like, I'm not going to build this until they decide. And I just took a step back and I don't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I often think, should I go back to video? But I do all these podcasts, and this is what I enjoy, right? And I think it's a better show of my personality and who I am. So I was like, this is just what I enjoy, so I'm going to do this instead of
Yeah.
making videos, right? And trending on things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do very little Facebook, and we have a Facebook community, but I found people not engaging. And then I asked my community who wants to help, like who wants to be an administrator and do all this. And everyone's like, yeah, I'm leaving Facebook. I'm not doing it. And I was like, that is really
Wow.
interesting. I was like, that's why no one's engaging. They're all leaving. And I was like, okay, then we're just not going to do it anymore.
Makes
So we just
sense.
left. It's still there, but we don't like, I was like, I'm not going to push to make sure that this works,
Yeah.
right? If people aren't seeing it. And I feel like people are being bombarded in so many ways. I don't know what the answer is,
Mm-hmm.
but even I'm feeling like, okay, I think this is a time to just kind of step back and
Yeah.
see how it's all gonna fall.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And it creates too many false narratives in my
Hmm.
opinion, right? Because people can just post whatever they want. They can only post the happy things, but you're not seeing who they are. Like you said, I
Yes.
love the podcasting space because you get to really shine, right? Especially
Be
if you're doing a
you.
longer podcast, like mine, you get a chance to like just fully be you, right? And your personality really gets to show versus like when you're sitting in front of a camera, you don't mean to, but it's like, it's almost like you want to kind of put a little bit of face on because you're going to be facing it. Like, is it just
Yeah,
me? Do you feel?
it's marketing. I mean, that's why you're doing it, right? It's a very different and it's short, right? It's, a
Yeah.
minute or two and you got to get all the stuff up front and you have to have a
Yeah.
hook in the beginning and
So-
it's like all that stuff and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And it's just like I'm on LinkedIn probably more than anything. And I saw all these people like posting and posting and posting and then I was like, okay, my stuff's just going to get lost. So I started to do long form writing. I started to do articles. And very quickly, I got over 1,000 subscribers. And I'm
Wow.
like, okay, because it's different, right?
Yeah,
Now, a lot of
that's
people are
true.
doing it, but AI is writing it. You can tell they're not writing it. You can tell
Hmm.
instantly if they're not writing it. So so I always try to say like how can I be different from everyone out there? What's my
Hmm.
differentiator? Because I think it's very confusing and we're losing that trust factor. And I think that's
Absolutely.
going to be the new type of marketing, which I've always talked about authenticity, but it's also a trust factor.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that kind of leads into, your company and the things that you're doing with being this soul-led professional, right? Because we're not doing it because of the trends. We're not doing it because that's what people say is going to get the views or say
Yes.
it's going to do this. We really are focusing on what works for us. And like you said, in such a huge space where there's so much noise, people are looking for a human being, right? We are looking for, oh, I can connect with that person or I like that person's personality, right? It is that trust factor like you're talking about. And I think that authenticity really rings a bell in that. And we've had so many people that like overuse the term in a
Yeah.
completely different way that I feel like a lot of people are confused about like what does authenticity really mean? So I'm going to ask you that question because I feel like it can't again it's getting lost. It's just one of those overused words, but I agree with you. What would be your definition of authenticity?
Yeah, it for me it's living in your truth, right?
Mm,
So, I actually do a lot of speaking on how to show up authentically in your business. That is one of my big speeches. And I talk about you showing up as you, not a mask, not I'm pretending, not the professional you think people want to see, but you. And sometimes it's messy. My last few articles that I've actually been posting has been like this I'm explaining more of this transition of these two energies that I'm feeling probably in the last 2 weeks, and that's what I've been writing about, of this need to make money to pay all the bills, right?
mm,
And this other want to just write and be creative and do my thing, right? To lead the community, to just kind of stay in my higher vibration, but I got to pay all the bills, right? So, and there's this back and forth. And that's the mess I've been talking about. And that's what people are saying, hey, me too. But
mm.
that's being authentic. It's telling people that I have bad days, right? Telling people, like in my second book, I wrote about a lot of mistakes I made growing my business, right? Getting into debt because I made bad choices, things like that. But it's showing the human side of me,
Yeah.
right? And it's also not, I don't really post on a schedule. But if something hits me, like I'm writing, I'm like, oh, I should make a post out of this. That's a really good something. I'll just take the paragraph and post it out there, right? Or something like that. That's being
Yeah.
authentic. That's showing up you, right? And you can show up unmade. You can show up in your hoodie. You can show up like you be you. I don't show my kids anywhere in social media. I just never have. Now they're adults, so I could, um, but I can talk about, hiking or I talk about my traveling or something like that. But it's your truth. It's not pretending to be someone that you're not. Because when you show up authentically, you are automatically magnetic to the right client. You don't have to do the marketing because they're in your energy. They're like, yes, I see me in you. And that's really what they're buying. It's not what you're
Hmm.
saying, it's the energy you're showing up with. And they're saying, I want some of that. I want what she has.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
authenticity to me. But you are correct. People are stealing words. And now I'm seeing all the soul led and the soul and spirituality. And I'm like, oh my
Oh.
God, that is so not the energy you are giving off. Because that's what's selling right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
I think that's the thing I have an issue with, especially on social media because I don't have cable or anything like that. I don't watch a lot of TV, but it's like
yeah.
everyone is doing nothing but selling, right? No matter
Hmm.
what the conversation, like you can scroll through whatever social media platform that you're on, and I guarantee you within the first 2 minutes, you're going to see several ads that are like, if you want to make money doing this, or this is how you would generate $10,000 in clients, or if you want to have a business tomorrow, like it's all the quick fixes, which everybody's always looking for, which we know that's not how businesses are
Not
created.
how it
And
works. Yeah.
it's like, it's so inconsistent with it as
Yes.
well, right? Like, okay, so I bought into one recently, and I won't name the name, but it was a women's led financial space. And I thought, you know what? I'll go for it because
Doing
finances
it.
is something
Yep.
I've really been working on. I'm not the best at just like understanding my money and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? If it's women that's talking about it, I'm going to understand it. So they had a master class. I'm going to quote unquote that. And it was like, you're going to learn this and this. I was like, you know what? That's really cool. Like, I love that you guys are wanting to give back. And so I got on it, and it's like an hour and a half class. And all they did was just spend the entire time talking about, well, we did this to get into business, and this is why we've created it. And then like the last 15 minutes was like, okay, well, and if you want to learn more, here's our course that you can purchase. I was like, I didn't get any value. Where the hell was the
Yeah.
value? All you did was tell me about how you got in the space, which that's great. But where was the value you promised
Yeah.
me? Like I felt
Yep.
so empty. And I went
Yeah.
through, I unfollowed them, I unsubscribed to all their stuff immediately. I was like, I don't want to be a part of that. Like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? And I'm not saying give all of your secrets away, but I mean, if you think about anybody that is interviewing people that are making millions and millions of dollars, most of them that I've seen that have been interviewed, that's one of the very first things that they say is, I will give all my secrets away because
Hmm.
not that many people are actually going to do it.
Yep. I always say, especially in the beginning, I had so many people copying what I was doing, and I
Mm,
realized it could never work because they're not me. It just can't, right? So I can hand you my business blueprint, and anyone else can, right? But you're not me. I'm not you, right? No one can pretend to be me. That's my
yeah.
greatest asset, right? So that's where authenticity comes in too, right? Think about all the people that graduate medical school, same degree, MBAs, same degree, lawyers, same degree, right? But when you need one of those, you're interviewing them to see if your energy matches.
Yeah.
See if they can help you. Does it feel good when I talk to them? Right? Does it feel good in my body? Are you the person I'm looking for? Right? So that's
100%.
what we're all looking for in business. But with social media, it is really, really, really hard. I'm turned off now by the especially women, very loud right now, right? Women this and women this and women this and women this. And I was like, boy, that's not feminine energy. Right? Just I'm not doing it. And it was interesting because I went through this I don't know what we call it. This kind of it was like an inner search. I would say like maybe 2 months ago. And I'm like, what happens when I age out and I can't teach business anymore because business is happening faster? And then
Mm,
as I like looked into it and started leaning into it, I was like, well, actually, it's my wisdom and my years of what I've been doing, my decades of experience in so many industries that is actually my differentiator, right?
yeah.
So most of the people that come to me are in transition somewhere in midlife, but everyone thinks midlife is in a different place. But they're usually they're usually like around their 40s to 50s or something. I do get them younger, but that's really the 40 to 50 range is usually when they're like, I'm meant for something more, or my kids are older, or I'm working from home because I have to have this. And I work in lifestyles because I'm that person. I was a single mom with three kids and I had to figure it out, right? And we attract who we are. We attract who we
Mm.
are. And I was like, oh, it's actually my wisdom that is going to keep me moving forward, right? Because
Oh, I
I'll always
love
attract
that.
people that are younger than me looking up to me, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm 60, you'll have the 50-year-olds. When I'm 70, I'll have the 60-year-olds, right? And I'm like, okay, well, that cleared that up for me.
It's
But
just
when
so
I
easy.
look,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, but sometimes, I look at, very successful 40-year-old women, but it's not my model, right? And I could be like,
Mm.
okay, I remember those days when I was building and hustling and grinding, and it was great in that moment,
Yeah.
right? I was awesome in that moment, but it's not who I am today. Today, it's more about my lifestyle and what I want to do. My kids are older. I want to travel. I want to have quieter times, right? I work particularly with a hybrid model, but if you knew me, I had a paid membership for 10 years, right? That I finally closed down because I really wanted more intimate relationships with the people I was working with because I changed, right? We grow and we have to grow with our business. So now when I look, I'm like, it's not me. But, someone who's like in their later 40s or 50s or wants that quieter lifestyle business, they're my people.
Mm, that makes so much sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
you attract who you that is so that's such an interesting point. And like now I'm gonna have to go back and like look at this because like now like so who am I attracting? Like I'm so excited for this. It's so good to reflect though.
Yeah, we attract who we are, and our
Hmm.
ideal client is us 2 years ago. It never
Ooh,
ever changes, by the way, right? So as
okay.
you go through something, your next clients will be going through that same thing because that's
Makes
who you're
sense.
attracting. They can feel the energy. That's
Mhm.
magnetic, right? If you're attracting the wrong people all the time, like the wrong client, they don't have money, they whatever. Even in a romantic situation, if you're attracting the wrong partner, it's you. You got to look in the mirror because that's what you're putting out. That's your match, right?
Mm,
Energies attract energies. So if you're
yeah,
attracting the wrong thing, it's because you're putting it out. And that happens in marketing a lot too, right? Someone else is writing your marketing, but it's not really you. It's kind of like you.
yeah,
Well, that's why you're not getting those ideal clients because it's not you.
yeah.
Right? You're
I
putting out an energy that attracts something else, especially if you're doing fear-based marketing.
Yeah, which I'm not a fan
Yeah.
of at all. And I love that you said, and I want everyone to hear this again. If you're attracting the wrong people in your life, whether it's business or personal, it's you. Like
It's
you
you.
have to look inward. It's so easy, right, for everyone to be like, "Oh, it's the other person. It's their problem. Like it's because they were doing this." But so rarely do people go, "Okay, well, what is going on with me that keeps allowing this in my space?" Right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I'm starting to see more people be more aware of or want to be more aware of as well is like, how do I reflect within to figure out what's going on? And I wish that this
Yeah.
is something that was taught, right? Like from a young age, like on a regular basis of like, how do we start with us? We have gotten into this space of point the finger, blame everybody, and not take
Yes.
any accountability. And people are like, oh, that's keeping myself safe. It's like, no, you're giving away every bit of control that you have by saying it's everyone else.
Yeah. And I also want to stress that that's really important in our business plans, right? When I teach my business accelerator for the first 3 weeks, we only do inner work.
Ooh,
Who am I? What lights me up? Who do I want to serve? Where does that come from? Looking at limiting beliefs we might have, because until that's cleared, you can't start building your business because people are building businesses based on a model that someone else does,
yeah,
right? And it doesn't feel good to them. They're like, "Oh, I hate doing this." Well, if you hate doing
yeah.
it, don't do it. Like, or find a different way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, right? Or I can't tell you how many people, like, I always ask, do you do like one-on-one work? Do you do group? Like, when I'm getting to know people and they're like, I'm doing one-on-one work, but I hate it. Okay, then why are you doing it? Because don't you think your clients
Absolutely.
feel that?
Yeah.
Right? Right? So it's the, oh, I never sell any of these packages. Okay, well, let's talk about your package. Do
Hmm.
you love it? Do you love doing it? How are you selling it? Because if it's not working or people aren't buying it, that's what you're attracting.
Yeah.
So it's looking at all of those different facets of your energy behind every single thing in your business. Even your follow-up, your emails, your like every part of it, your marketing, your branding. If it's not authentic and your truth, then you're not going to attract who you need to.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to move to this other
Okay.
space really quick because I know in the beginning, we were kind of talking about people that are in this space of feeling like they're being called to a bigger purpose, right?
Yes.
So I want to address this because my thought is, especially those that are coming from the corporate space, like you said, they've done the things, they've got the accolades, and now they're like, hey, I really feel called to something else. And I know I fell into this space myself coming from the corporate space. We have all these talents, right? Which is like what you talked about.
Yeah.
And our talents are generally attached to a resume, right?
Yes.
It's bullet pointed out. I can do this. I can multitask. I can blah, 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 blah. How do you take those skills, those things that we would put on a resume, and how do you transform that into these are the things that I'm good at? These are the things that I know I want to do. And this is what I'm going to use when I decide to build a business.
Yeah. So I would say most of the time people are not that clear, right? But they do know that they have these skills. I have a online class called From Corporate to Calling, and it's a 28-day drip of questions. So
Ooh.
yeah. And it starts with your own personal identity. Like, who are you today in this corporate job? What do you do? Who do you look after?
Oh.
What are the skills that you have? Right. And it goes through, um, what you can see. It's 4 weeks. So, what you can see yourself doing, but it goes into some deep identity work
Mm-hmm.
and what is transferable. Because a lot of that stuff is transferable. Right?
Absolutely.
People don't think like, oh, I've been an engineer my whole life, right? But I also get people that I've been an engineer my whole life, but I can also read Akashic records, and then it's how do we blend those two worlds? And many times people come to me and they're like, it's impossible. I was like, nothing's impossible. Maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
the only one who does it, but every engineer now wants to talk to you because of it, right? It's really
Right?
knowing your market too,
Yeah.
right? And it's usually you. So once we find out who you are, then we can find out what you're searching for. Like, who would you have loved to talk to when you were in that crisis 2 years ago,
I love that
right? And
question.
that becomes your job, right? It could be a coach, a consultant. That's usually who I'm working with, right? And that's how you start to assess and look at. And I always say it's a great idea to make like two columns, like this is what I want, this is what I absolutely do not want. I came out of the not-for-profit world, right? I did not want to work with a board again, right? I was like that, and that's why my company is not a nonprofit. We run exactly like a nonprofit, because a lot of our community is free and we give back. And we actually are going to start a community supported movement where the community is supporting like a pay what you can if you love the work that we're doing and we're giving it to
Oh,
others
yeah.
because we teach business, right? And we do it for free for a reason. Um, so we work on a not-for-profit model, but I really didn't want a whole board, right? I do have advisory boards and people that help, but I am the final decision.
Mm.
Right. So it's knowing what you want and what you don't want. Do you want to work 5 days a week? Do you want to work 2 days a week? I've designed businesses that run 2 days a week. Right. So it's, do you want to be free for your kid's soccer game at 2 o'clock? Okay. Like there's nothing that you can't have. So just put it all down on paper and then create a business from there. Because when you have something that you love and that feels very in flow, it's easy for you to show up and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's something about like physically writing it down and looking at it that is very different than just like thinking about it in your head, right? Like we think, oh, I can
Absolutely.
just like make this list and I can think about it and okay, I kind of like this stuff, but there really is something that cognitively like really catches your attention, but it also creates the emotion to it as well. And when you're reading over it, I know this has happened for me, but as you're kind of going over things and you're speaking things out loud, like it's really interesting how you're like, oh, okay, that didn't feel as good as it did when I said it in my head. Okay, so maybe I don't like that as much. Like I like
Yeah.
it, but I don't like it as much. Have you ever seen that? Have
Yeah.
you ever seen that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Saying things out loud makes a big difference, or telling somebody.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, telling somebody else. I say it, what do I call it my decide, declare, do method. Like decide you want to do it, declare it to someone else, and then do it. Because it'll
Ooh,
tell you if it feels right.
makes
Right.
sense.
And what you're talking about is what I call KPIs, right? Your key performance indicators. No matter, every business has to have them. Like I do it weekly. I have a little chart that it's a Word doc that I leave open, but it has all of my things like did I do this each week or how did I do it, which is like my pipeline, but it's also like being on podcasts. How many did I book? How many did I record? And I do it every week so I can see.
Hmm.
I have a thing since 2020 that I talk to 20 new people every single month, and I still do that. But I keep a checklist. This month so far, I've talked to 13 people, right? So that's part of my KPIs. Like just because you're soul led and in flow doesn't mean you don't still have indicators that things are actually working, right? You still
Yeah.
need business fundamentals. And that's well the key part of my work, but it's you need both. You can't just be like,
Hmm.
"Hey, we're gonna see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
in flow right now." It's like people are not knocking on your door to buy from you,
Yeah.
right? So how do they find you? What conversations do you have?
Hmm.
Right. And I'm seeing a lot of people now go back to in-person stuff, even in-person speaking, stay actual stages instead of virtual,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't like doing it, your clients don't like doing it. So I don't go to like virtual summits. I'll speak at them, but I don't really go to them. So I'm like, my client probably doesn't go to them because
Ooh,
I don't go
yeah.
to them, right? So
It
yeah, so
makes
it's just
it's isn't it
yeah,
interesting how simple it can be, yet we
yeah,
try to make it so complicated?
yeah. So I'm always like, where are my people hiding? Well, they're still in their corporate jobs. Well, where are they hanging out? Right?
Yeah. And I love
And
the identity of, being in flow and still having like the physical components, right, of accountability. I think that a lot of times that message gets very mushed up because you have
yeah,
some people that preach like, I just want to be in flow and I just want to do it this way today. And I'm sure that for some people it may potentially work, like absolutely. But with the majority of us, right, especially if we're newer in business and we're trying to figure out what's working and what's not, if you're
yeah,
not tracking the things that you're doing on a regular basis, how are you going to know what you're doing or where your time goes to, right? Like, I don't know how many people I've talked to when it comes to talking about like their schedule, and one of the things I used to always say was like, are you putting everything on your calendar? And they're like, well, yeah, I mean, I've got my time blocks. I'm like, no, 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 no. I mean, like, if you're supposed to be doing something and then you catch yourself on social media for 30 minutes, are you putting in that time block that you were on social media for 30 minutes? And they're like, well, and I'm like, well, then how do you know where you're actually putting your time? Because it's easy
yeah,
for us to get distracted, right? It happens. But having that to physically see, you're like, oh shit, I just
yeah.
blew like 3 hours this week because I got distracted.
When I started I just don't do it anymore, but when I started my company, and I've done this when I started any company that I've started, I always write down the hours that I'm working because it's so interesting as an entrepreneur when you're not working. Like,
Mm,
like, and I always tell myself, I just don't have time. I don't have time. And then I had to stop myself and be like, I have the time. I'm just not using it wisely. So how can I be better at this? And then switching my schedule so I'm actually showing up. If I work better in the morning, I will show up in the morning. That's how I got with show it like I write most of my morning, take a break, go to the gym, come back, and
Hmm.
do some other work, right? But I know that that's in my flow now. But many times they might get up, might go to the gym, they might never go back to work, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's very hard when you're an entrepreneur, and a lot of times you're not actually working.
Oh,
So
oh, the
it's
stab.
measuring things like that,
Yeah.
right? But when you're productive, you probably only have to work about 6 hours a day. You probably can run a business in under 30 hours a week. But
Yeah.
if you're doing a lot of stuff you don't need to do, then that's not going to happen.
It's filling up so many.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially coming from the corporate space, we're so trained to
Yeah.
be in that we just don't associate it with that, right? I mean, I know when I first started my business, like that was my thing. Okay, well, I know that I go to work from 8 to 5 every single day, right? So, like, that's how I'm going to plan out my
Yep.
business. And I tried that for a really long time, and it was horrible. It was like I had never left the corporate space, which
Yeah.
was really interesting, right? And it took a while to really kind of get in my flow, but I'm the same way. I know that by like 3, 4 in the afternoon, like I'm done. Like
I'm
I'm
done.
I'm
Same
done. Like
here.
it just, yeah, it is what it is. There are some times where I'll kind of go downstairs, take a break, go make dinner, and then like all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, you know what? I could do this for like another hour or so, right? And I'll
Yeah.
sit down with my laptop in like a different space of my house, and do some things. But I don't make that mandatory. I kind of let that additional thing flow. But I do know that. I know that I am better first thing in the morning. But yeah, by that afternoon, I'm done. Like it just I need a
Yeah.
break. I
That's
need to go
good.
walk. Like
Yeah. And you're probably way more productive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you're working when you're productive. And when you realize that you're not productive, you go do something else. And
yep.
you're probably more productive around the house too. Because
Oh yeah,
that's how I work, right? Like I'm
yeah,
not productive. I'll go down, do some dishes, think things through.
yeah.
But that's like I like that. I like
I
that.
do. I kind of
Yeah.
think of it as, you think of all the people that take like smoke breaks and then people that don't smoke so they don't get those
Yeah.
additional breaks, right? Like it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like you just get to go outside for a moment. I do it here all the time when we have good weather. That's the first thing I do. Like lunchtime specifically, it is outside. I am under the covered patio. I am in a different space. I am breathing different air. My
Yeah.
phone is flipped over. I usually set a timer so I know how long I'm going to be outside without constantly checking my phone. And that becomes my space. And what's really funny about that is anytime that I find myself doing that, even if it's like a 10-minute break, I swear it feels like it's 45 minutes
Yeah. I
when it's
agree.
not. It's so relaxing and relieving. And then I'm like, oh, wow, it's only been 10 minutes. Like I feel like I've been out here forever. Like, and you get like this refreshed sense of like, all right, I'm good. And go back in. Now I know what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's working in flow. That's it. That's
There you
perfect.
go.
Yeah.
That
Perfect.
is that is what flow truly
Yeah.
means. So I know that that you talked about this in the beginning that you've got a couple of books out. I know you've also got one
Yeah.
on the way. What are your books really about? I know you said that one of them, you really talk about the mistakes and things that you've made in business, but what else is in your books? What would people be looking for if they were wanting to read them?
Yeah, so the three behind me is actually a trilogy. They're one,
Oh,
two, and
okay.
three. So the first one's called The Ultimate Guide to Creating a Soul-Aligned Business. And that's going through the thought process of creating it, like the two columns that I told you about. That's
Yeah.
all in there. And it goes through the story of me creating it, why I left corporate, and what those first few years were like. The second one is The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Soul Professional, which is all about growth. It's
Mm,
about, once you're stable, how are you growing? How are you hiring? Mistakes I made along the way and went into debt and made horrible mistakes. But I write about it and it's authentic. And the third one is called The Ultimate Guide to Leaving Your Legacy. And that
ooh.
is really about creating a business that you want to be remembered by. And it doesn't mean it has to be a multi-million dollar business, right? And it goes
Hmm.
to say, like, maybe some of us remember our teachers or our coaches or the lunch lady or your bus driver or someone who was good to you in life. And that's really what leaving your legacy is. We're leaving one anyway, so we might as well make it intentional. So that third book is about leaving your legacy. So that's my first trilogy. And I'm writing a book now called The Rise of the Soul Professional, which is about the paradigm shift that we talked about, and about people leaving corporate, and about doing purpose-driven work around the world, connecting with other people, and the future of entrepreneurship really being small, you know, solo, really. Maybe we have a VA or something, but really small, under five, micro entrepreneurship. Most of us will always make under 1 million. And it's funny because we're not really recognized by the Small Business Association in America, because you have to be like over 5 million with a product.
Oh,
So service
interesting.
oriented, yeah. So I like to call us micro entrepreneurs, right? We're going to stay small, but
Hmm.
we're mighty and powerful and all over the place. And many of us are nomads at this point, just kind of moving and working from different places because we can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, so
starting to see
that's
that a
what that
lot
book's
more.
about. Yeah, and it's just about consciousness, but how spirituality is really all backed in science too. So I do a lot of like the
Ooh.
neuroscience, yeah, behind working in your passion and how it helps your dopamine receptors and why we do the things that we do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
huge when it comes to the science of things. And not because I'm just so rooted in it, but I do love to be able to like get the full picture and understand because, when I first got into law of attraction and, being in your purpose and being soul led, like there were so many people that made it feel like I don't like it was almost imaginary, right? Like there
Yeah.
wasn't this tangible piece to it, but when you really start to look behind, like, no, there's studies that have been done that show this, and there's studies that have been done that show the receptors within your brain and how you can shift things and how you
Yeah.
actually can change the beliefs. Like I was so fascinated by that. And I think to
Yeah.
me it was like it made it more tangible. Like, yes, there is a space of faith and like knowing for people as well, and I still fall under that category. And when I really kind of first got into it, being able to see how those two kind of connected was very helpful. And then
Yes.
it allowed me to be more open to like, okay, this makes sense. Okay, that makes okay, well, I saw that this happened. So now I have, right now you have like this your KPIs. I'm like, right now you have this tracking system of like, okay, well, I know that this is a potential because I've already seen X, Y, and Z happen. Now
Yeah.
you have something to go off of.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like the woo of like spirituality, and almost all woo is backed in science. So that's what, because I'm very logically brained. So I'm like, well, I know this to be true. So let's go find out why. So, and it
Hmm.
goes into a lot of the quantum fields of what we used to believe. And now what we are proving in science, scientists are proving that, like, oops, I think there's a lot more to this. Right. And yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
oh, I am
So,
so excited for this.
yeah. That's why, like, I've been writing and writing and writing. And I was like, wow, this. And when I started writing, I didn't know I was going to write about the science. But I actually pulled out my doctorate work from 2018 that I started a lot of this research, and then I ended up going into psych, and I never finished my dissertation. So I began the
Oh,
book like I never wanted to defend this, but this is what I know now, right?
oh,
And
yeah.
writing out the whole book. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm
it's
excited
so
to write it.
cool. Oh, I'm excited for it to release. You'll have to keep us
Thank you.
posted.
Yeah.
So okay, so as we come to a close then, one, is there anything you would like to leave the audience with?
Whew. Well, I always like to say the world needs your gifts, so let's help bring them to the world, right? There is no business model that you can't create that totally fits who you are in the world, so create it. Um, yeah, and if anyone wants to be part of our community, it's completely free and it's called Soul, Soul Professional, and we have things every single week. We have soul circles for our spirituality. We have networking. We have healing circles. And I teach a business class every single month.
Oh, And I love it. And so where can everybody find you? Is it your website that's kind of the best place,
That's the
or?
best place to do it. Yeah, soulprofessional.com. You can always find a Camille L. Miller will also bring you there. And on LinkedIn is pretty much the only, well, I'm probably on Facebook too. But you have to use the L though, because there's other Camille Millers in the world. So it's Camille L. Miller. Yeah.
And of course, we'll make sure we have all that information in the show notes. We'll make it super simple for you guys to find and connect with Camille as well. Camille, I just love talking with you. You're so much fun. So thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Thanks for having me back, Kat.
Oh, always. And I cannot wait for the book to be released. Don't worry. I will make sure it is posted on socials as well, highlighting Camille because I love the way that she thinks. So I hope that you guys were taking notes. Maybe you're making your 2 columns right now of your do's and your don'ts. I think that, I agree with Camille. I think that we are starting to see a shift. And if you're feeling it and you're feeling called to it, lean in. This is definitely the time for that. So until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference that it makes in your life. Catch you later.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Chat with Kat today, where real stories meet real solutions. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, and share this with someone who may also need to hear this as well. Let's also keep the conversation going. Follow me on socials at The Lotus Effect, connect with our incredible guests, and remember, you are never alone. Your story matters, and you have the ability and the power to rewrite it. You always have a choice. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep showing up as the incredible, unstoppable